If you saw this plane coming toward you, you were already in trouble. Because at the start of World War II, nothing could match it. It turned tighter, flew farther, and dominated every fight it entered. The Mitsubishi A6M Zero. For a time, it controlled the skies. And the worst part? Most pilots didn't even understand why they were losing. But what makes it even more unbelievable is how fast that dominance disappeared. Because the Zero wasn't built like other fighters. It wasn't heavy, it wasn't armored, and it didn't try to protect the pilot. Instead, it was built for performance, extreme maneuverability, long range, and incredible agility, which meant in a close-range fight, it had a massive advantage. Because most aircraft couldn't keep up. They couldn't turn as tightly, they couldn't react as quickly. And once the Zero got behind you, it was very difficult to escape. And this is what made it so dangerous early in the war. Because many Allied pilots didn't understand how to fight it. They tried to outturn it, to engage in close combat. And that's exactly what the Zero wanted. But this is where everything starts to change. Because the Zero's greatest strengths were also its biggest weaknesses. To achieve that level of performance, it had to sacrifice protection. No heavy armor, no self-sealing fuel tanks, which meant if it took damage, it couldn't absorb it. And this became critical, because once Allied pilots adapted, the fight changed completely. Instead of turning, they used speed, diving attacks, quick passes, and then pulling away, never staying long enough for the Zero to respond. And this is where the balance shifted. Because the Zero couldn't match that kind of energy fighting. It couldn't take hits, and it couldn't recover as easily. So even though it was still dangerous, it was no longer dominant. But here's what makes this even more interesting. The Zero itself didn't change much. The pilots didn't suddenly become worse. The aircraft didn't lose its ability. The fight changed, and that's what makes air combat so unpredictable. Because what works perfectly in one moment can become a weakness in the next. And the Zero is one of the clearest examples of that. Because it started the war as one of the most feared fighters in the sky, a machine that dominated early battles and forced its enemies to rethink how they fought. But once those tactics changed, once pilots stopped playing to its strengths, the advantage disappeared. And that's the story of the Mitsubishi A6M Zero, a fighter that began the war as unstoppable, but couldn't stay that way. If you enjoy content like this and want to see more deep dives into legendary aircraft, make sure to like the video and subscribe, because there's a lot more to uncover.